Hello, my chicklets. Thank you for stopping by. Today we are going to be reading part 5 in the Dark Side Logan saga. I really enjoy these stories, so I hope all of you do too. Let's go ahead and read Bullseye. The dart landed in the wall just next to the dartboard. Remus snickered and Logan let out a groan. This was the 5th time in a row where he had missed the dartboard.
I didn't think your aim would be this bad, Logie.
Logan shot Remus a frustrated look and adjusted his glasses. Defeated, he walked to the wall and pulled the dart out. Once more, he inspected it to make sure that it should aerodynamically fly just like it was intended to. Nothing was amiss with it, again, and Logan admitted to himself that he really was just as bad of a thrower as Patton was. I'm short-sighted, and Thomas has never been an athletic person. Ergo, I'm not good at throwing things.
Sure, that's why I've hit Bullseye every single time since we started playing.
Remus's voice was cocky, and his smirk awfully self-satisfied. Logan thought and clenched his jaw at the smug face in front of him. He would have to knock Remus down a few figurative pegs. After all, Lucas had encouraged him several times to be more assertive. Maybe it was time to give it a try. Well, Logan said and straightened his glasses on his nose, if you're this good at throwing darts, we could attempt a little experiment.
Oh?
No suggestive eyebrow wiggle accompanied the little exclamation, and Logan inwardly cheered. Remus wasn't in his sexy zone, as he called it to everyone's chagrin, and Logan would have the perfect prerequisites to conduct his little experiment. Yes, it is quite simple. You throw one more dart after you agreed to be part of the experiment.
What's that supposed to prove? If I miss, it just means I don't have perfect aim, which I never claimed to have in the first place, and if I hit again, it shows that I'm good.
Correct. These are not the hypotheses I want to prove or disprove, though. Curiously, Remus tilted his head to the side, and Logan had to fight a smile off his lips. He couldn't waver now. It won't work if I tell you what I'm testing, Remus. I can only promise you that no harm will come your way.
Ah, bummer, and I so looked forward to finally finding out about your sadistic side.
Logan only hummed and motioned with his hand, as if to ask if Remus was agreeing to the experiment or not. Easily enough, Remus shrugged his shoulders and positioned himself behind the line and aimed for the board. Casually, Logan stood by his side and remarked, You have good posture. Remus snorted, but didn't let his eyes wander off the dartboard. He'd found the right position.
Thanks, Logie. You don't look bad with a sharp object in your hand either.
Well, but most likely not as sharp as the bodacious bottom of yours. Remus hit the board, but only barely. It didn't land in a ring that would offer him any points. Logan smiled self-satisfactorily at the results and looked back to Remus with a sly look. There was a tint of pink on the Duke's cheeks, and Logan felt his heart speed up a tiny fraction. That is a satisfying outcome. Still baffled, Remus waved his hand around as if to ask Logan to explain what he just said and did. Logan followed the request with an amused grin. I wanted to see how your performance in dart throwing would change if your concentration were to be impaired. As we just saw, you still hit the target, but not nearly as accurate as you had before. The next phrase was stuck in Logan's throat. There was hurt in the other's eyes. Betrayal, defeat, resignation. Logan took a step closer. The tips of his ears must have turned a gentle pink. He bit his upper lip to keep a dopey grin from reaching his face. It was also nice to know that a compliment from me affects you. I was concerned you might not care for my advances in that way. Seeing Remus's wide-eyed expression of shock, Logan assumed his advances had been too subtle up until now. Also, he had definitely failed at keeping a smile off his lips. Why not own it, then? And so Logan let his grin morph into a smirk and stepped closer still to the chaotic side. Was I not forward enough for you? I have been a little subtle for the chaotic side of creativity, haven't I?
Subtle is a freaking understatement here, Teach.
Excitement resonated through Logan's veins. It was mirrored in Remus's vibrant eyes. They needed to be closer, needed to be touching, needed to feel each other. But they couldn't.
You wanted back that day?
Yes, very much so. I wish I would have asked. I wish I had found the courage within myself. Remus's hands hovered over Logan's shoulders, and it wasn't thin, not deathly pale, no hollow eyes and weak breaths. Logan looked fine. Logan looked alive. Logan looked beautiful. But he could also be ugly. He wasn't a pretty crier. He could be too stubborn and insist on making a point or sticking to a schedule even when it didn't make sense anymore. He could be just as ugly as the world had made him to be. But he wasn't truly alive. They all weren't real. What they did didn't matter. But he wasn't fine. Logan hadn't been fine in years. You could get hurt so badly, Firefly. I don't want to be the reason for your pain. Logan leaned towards him. They were yet to touch. Too close not to. Too far to even try. I don't think you would hurt me. And if you do, Logan swallowed and set his hands on Remus's hips, I would still have the nice memories. The nice things we could do together. The unsightly things we want to do. You know? Unsightly? Remus's voice was raw and dry. His fingers brushed Logan's shoulders, his nose so close that it was almost blurry in front of his eyes. All the things young Patton would disapprove of, you know? I do know. So, well, your proposal sounds enticing. They were looking at each other's lips. They leaned in. Their lips still didn't quite meet. Does it now? Yes. But... Remus trailed off. He felt the pull towards Logan, the pull that also told him to stick his hands into the garbage disposal. He couldn't listen to the pull right now. Not when he felt like this. Not when he wasn't sure he could get back up again. He lifted his hands to Logan's shoulders, his arms trembling, looking at Logan burned in his chest, those deep blue eyes, the endless questions and wonder behind them making it all harder to resist. And resisting was already far too hard for a sad like Remus. Yet Remus had forgotten one thing. Logan had gotten a taste for getting his way, and he wasn't giving it up just yet. Softly he lifted his hands from Remus's hips and gently took hold of his hands. His eyes bored deeper into Remus's skull, and he pressed his eyes shut with a shuddering breath. It was so much. I apologize, Remus. A shudder ran down Remus's spine, and he flinched backwards a little, his hands interlocking fiercely with Logan's. I put much strain on you and Lucas in the past few days, much more pain than I could possibly imagine. And asking you to get involved with me, get more invested in my personal well-being, isn't something I should make you do so casually. Because I understand that it isn't an easy decision. I understand that my up and downs are not only tiresome for me, but also exhausting for you, even more so since you are far more emotionally driven side than I will ever be. Being with me might mean that you get hurt, get let down, and have to go through loss, and that is no easy choice to make. Logan's left hand was suddenly on Remus's cheek. He opened his eyes wide and saw flames, blue flames, hot and true, pulling him in. So let me promise to you that you won't face this alone. I won't leave you alone. Not in pain, not in pleasure. I won't leave you alone and let you be hurt. Even if we split, even if we aren't together, I'll be your friend. I'll be your family. Remus kissed him. Logan kissed back. His arms slung around Remus's waist, pressing the two of them together. Finally close. Finally close enough. They embraced and only parted for seconds to catch their breaths and once more deepen their kiss. Remus's hands sitting in Logan's hair, their hearts were beating fast, and Logan's pulse hitched before Remus pulled them both on the couch. Roughly he maneuvered Logan on his lap, not for a second breaking off their kiss. The couch underneath Remus grew warm. Moments turned to minutes, minutes to a quarter hour. They weren't kissing anymore, just holding each other. A quarter hour to an hour. Logan was napping against Remus's chest. Both had lost the feeling of whose limbs were whose, and Remus didn't mind. He didn't mind at all. Logan was holding on to him, and that was all he wished for. Thank you all for listening. That again was Bullseye, Part 5 of the Dark Side Logan saga. I do hope y'all enjoyed it, and I hope you have a wonderful day.